Well, here you can see these nuts on this hedge trimmer, and there is a little piece that goes in here. Maybe I can take this apart. Okay, there is that little piece I was talking about with a hole in the middle of it, and that prevents this bolt from being tightened all the way. And here's the nut, and it's captured by this groove right here. See if I can get this in the right position. But here's that nut I was talking about. Here's that bolt with the little oblong piece. Here's a little oblong piece that prevents the bolt from being tightened all the way. And then it's got a washer on top. And then that goes into the bar. Okay, so we'll put this back together, making sure I don't lose this little steel piece here. And this goes into a slot right here. Hopefully I don't lose the bolt or lose the nut down here. But right here is the slot that little steel piece goes into. Alright, so now we're going to have to do the same thing over here. Right at the end. Okay, I've got my pieces down here on the bench. There's the 4 pieces that you're going to need. Here's the bolt. Here's that little oblong piece, washer, nut. I'm going to try to put it down on the end of where it goes. Okay. So first of all, take the bolt, put the washer on. Next, put this little oblong piece. Alright. Now we're gonna put it in here, the midway, might say. You might need something to align these pieces. Something pointy and sharp. Like this. And put everything together. I put some rubber gloves on to prevent myself from getting cut, and I'm just putting these loosely in there because if you tighten them too tight, then that'll mess up the whole thing. Right there on that board, I've got all of the nuts and bolts all together. Starting down here is the end of this hedge trimmer. So now we're going to come back up here and go to the next bolt. Okay, this is the gearbox, and here's a piece of felt, and it goes right in there. Again, use something to align these bolts. Because it's very important. Okay, now we're going to have to look on our reference hedge trimmer. This little bracket right here, and the bolt. Now underneath here, right in there in that slot, there's a little circular bushing that has to go in there. This bolt here is like many of the others. They have a oblong piece that goes in this slot, and then you have a washer on top. But notice that this one does not have a washer. The washer is not underneath this bolt right here, and it is not in here either, underneath this bracket. Now this bracket is a U-shaped bracket. Here's another thing that's difficult to understand. Here is a piece of felt. This felt is shaped to go around these blades. There's a middle piece. It's underneath this right here. There's a piece over here on this side, and then there's another piece over here. And notice also that this guard has to be put on this way. Here is how this is going to have to be. You have this piece right here. It's an L-shaped, sort of S-shaped piece right there. That has to go underneath this guard. This is the guard right here. It's plastic. And here's the other end of the guard right here. All this. This is to guard the muffler. This has to go on like this before you put the crankcase cover. Here's the crankcase cover over here. This guard has to go just like this before the crankcase cover is put on. Then you sort of bend this out of the way to get the crankcase cover on. Very difficult. Also down here is a snap ring right there in the center on that silver part right there. You have to get that snap ring on, and that holds both blades on. You have to have a snap ring installer like this. Put it in the holes of the snap ring, and then spread the snap ring apart to get it on. That was very easy to get on. And here again is the blades. This is the end of the blade, and it has to go around this eccentric piece. Eccentric means that it does not turn like a conventional wheel. It sort of turns like this to make these blades go back and forth. And there is another eccentric under this one for the second blade. All right, now I'm going to put the crankcase cover on. Okay, this crankcase cover has a little washer right there. You have to have that washer on. There is another one that corresponds to this area here, and that washer is down underneath the blades and on top of this gear. Here's a great big gear. It's about this big. I would say it's around 3 inches in diameter. So now we have to get this crankcase cover on. This, by the way, all the bolts for this crankcase cover have Loctite on them. So now you have to line this up. By the way, this bolt right here has to be tight before you put the crankcase cover on, because this bolt is underneath the crankcase cover. So we'll do that. Okay, it's tight. Now we're ready to put the crankcase cover on. It's going to be difficult to not mess this washer up right there. This washer has to go over this pin right here. Boy, that was very difficult to get on there. Now these longer bolts have to go on the guard. Try not to mess up the gasket also, because there's a gasket in there. Alright, now here's the construction of this area right here. You have 2 bolts. One, remember, is inside the crankcase right there. I already tightened that up. Here's the nut for it. This one is holding the blades, and you have to have a washer to hold the blades together, and you have to have one of those oblong pieces right in the blade slot right there. Here's a blade slot here. You can't see it from here. Also, this L or S-shaped piece has to go on. And notice that it is underneath the guard. Here's the guard right here. You can't hardly see it, but that's the muffler guard right there. Here's that S-shaped piece. And then it continues on down here. Now, this is where this part goes on. Like that. Now make sure that you tighten all of these bolts. And if you notice, this guard right here has different nuts on than these do down here. Now see that one? It sort of sets down in this aluminum piece here. This thing here, I had to make another one right there because I lost the original one, and I don't want to search for it, so I just took a piece of this, put another hole in it, and used that, so it worked fine. Well, whatever I did to try to fix this. It's not working. I'm going to see if there's a pin that has broken, and if so, then we'll have to replace that. So we'll get to see everything all over again. Over here is where I'm putting all of the bolts. Might be a good idea to wrap these blades with a rag, and even then they're very sharp.